All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Something Cafe podcast. I'm your host, Celestino, and today I've got on a guest. I've got on Bryan. Bryan, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Bryan Mays. Pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me, my friend.
Bryan is, dude, you are probably the most wicked guitar player that I've seen, and it's not just the talent. Because I've seen you play, and you play like you love it. And you know, as a guitar player, there's a difference between the people who are good. Like, there's really good people who don't play like they love it. And when I'm watching them, it's just not as entertaining. Whereas you have people like you got people like our buddy Juan, like people who play like they love it. And I've always appreciated that. And you know a lot of music. I mean, how long have you been doing music?
Well, thanks, man. Well, that's very flattering. That's really cool. I've been doing music since I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
I had a birthday yesterday. I'm 46. I really haven't done the math in a while.
Yeah.
So since I was 14 until
Wow.
I'm 47 now. So
that's awesome.
So my wife asked me a couple of years, like a year ago or so. I think it's like 32, 33 years, somewhere up in there. I just don't want to math right now. So
All
somewhere
good.
up in there, I stopped counting years a long time ago. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. No, it's here. Let's move the mic down. I think it's gonna move
Like
the arm down. I think it's covering your face.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, farther.
I'll do that.
There
like
you go.
that.
Perfect.
Is that better?
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. So the guitar, have you always played the guitar or have you transitioned from other things?
Well, I play a lot of different instruments, but guitar is my main instrument. I started out on violin, in
Wow.
in middle school band. I did that all through high school. I did side-by-side orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
Did that whole thing. I grew up in the Southwest Florida area, so we had the Naples Philharmonic whenever I was going through high school. Was who was the cat? I think Keith Lockhart. He's the Boston Symphony Orchestra, the Boston Pops director. So he was the director of the Naples Symphony Orchestra. So in my side-by-side orchestra, whenever I was in high school, he was the director of it. And then that following year, he got the gig doing the Boston Pop. So that was pretty wicked, dealing with a cat like that, But I don't play violin. Like after I graduated high school, I ended up selling it, and I just never really touched it again. Although I still understand it and all that stuff.
That's pretty. That's a pretty common story. I never thought, like, I've had a couple friends, wicked guitarists, and you know what? They've said, yeah, I started on violin. I'm just like, the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, that's pretty. It's pretty niche. The second time, I was like, oh, I've got a buddy. The third, the fourth, the fifth. I'm like, there has to be something about it.
I don't know.
Right?
I just learned how to read, and I wanted to do music in school, and they didn't have a guitar. They had jazz band, but you had to be in something else in order to be in jazz band.
Yeah.
So
Yep. I get that.
So that kind of thing, and
Yeah, I in high school, every single musical extracurricular thing, I did it, because I was just because as you know, singing is my main thing. So like jazz choir, and then all of the other the elective choirs, the concert choir. I was also. It's funny because it's like jazz band was the only one that I wasn't in, but it was just because I was already doing so much that singing was the the priority. And
Yeah.
if I'm gonna do jazz band, I'm gonna play the piano, and
Yeah.
they already had like an insane, because jazz piano that's another species of human.
Well, also high school, jazz
Yep.
band is different than real jazz.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, if you come from a place like where there's a lot of piano players, then
Yeah.
that can be a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, you are absolutely correct. That was just like that's the only experience I've ever had with like being a part of multiple bands and stuff was,
Yeah.
like high school. Because when I graduated high school, like I started college, like I graduated high school, and then that weekend I moved out.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to wait. I didn't want to take a gap year. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew the field. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah, that's good,
knew
man.
yeah, like I knew I wanted to do audio. I knew I wanted to do recording and music and whatnot. Although I don't do a whole lot of music now, I'm still using everything, right? Like
Yeah.
even doing this, I wouldn't be able to do if I didn't really like learn as much as I did. And it's just kind of ebbs and flows and what you're interested with in that moment in time. But yeah, dude, it's you and I met. I mean, it had to have been one of the gigs that
At
we
the
were both
Suva,
at.
at Suva, actually.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes sense.
yeah, I think I met you.
Juan
I came.
knew you first, right?
Yeah, I met Juan at a jam session here in town.
Mhm.
There's a Thursday jam session. I forget the cat that runs it, but it's a monthly community jam
Mhm.
that they have in the Winter Park area somewhere here.
I've done it
And
once.
it's on
Yeah.
Thursdays,
Yep.
last Thursday of the month or something like that. Larry Sell or Gary Sell, I think, and then he has a son that plays saxophone. His son used to come to some jam sessions that I used to run, and
Mhm.
that's how I met them cats. And they invited me out there, and I went there one time, and Juan was there.
Yep.
You know,
Yep. Yeah. Juan. I think we were at Suva. Was it when Juan and I were playing on the Sunday?
yeah,
Was
I
that when
just
we met?
yeah, I just came out there on a Sunday,
You're right.
and I didn't even know y'all guys were playing. I just came
Yep.
to hang out and shoot some pool and
Yep.
drink some kava and kratom
Yep.
and do all that kind of thing. And y'all guys were jamming. It's like, oh, this is cool. So I hung out, and I
Yeah.
saw Juan there, and I remembered him from the jam session, and that kind of thing.
Yep. Yep. We So I haven't had Juan on yet, although I really really want to. But
Yeah, you should.
Juan and I, for the listeners, are Juan's one of my really good
great guy.
really good buddies who we've done a ton of music stuff together, and we had this gig, him and I, every Sunday at this kava bar. I mean,
Suva.
dude, it was so
We miss Suva,
it
but
was
that's okay.
Yeah, it was. Oh man, the listeners know about everything Suva and
Suva.
what
I
happened.
wish Suva would come back, but
We all do, man.
But the community divided, goes up to Lay and goes to Elevate and other places around town here.
But none of them are gonna be like Suva, man.
Yeah,
It's,
it was just a cool hang.
Suva, and again, yeah, the listeners have certainly heard their share of me talking about it, but
Yeah,
I'll say it again for the
that's where it all starts.
for the
right?
for the 400th time. Brian, Suva. I'm a younger guy. Suva was the first time in my life growing up where I understood that you could mourn like a physical place.
Yep.
Like I've never experienced that in my
Oh, really?
in my
Well, it'll
in
happen
my
over and over
22
and over
years.
again in your lifetime. So
I
you have
bet.
plenty of time to mourn many places in the future.
Well, Suva
But,
was the first.
So you got your cherry popped with
There you go.
with a Suva. So
No, dude,
life is full of many disappointments, my friend.
It
Many-
was.
I'm just kidding.
Cause,
Not really, but
because
being a clown.
you know the story on why on why it got shut down. Right?
Yeah, it was just bad management, and there was a lot
Or
of things. Yeah,
illegal management.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know enough to talk about that, but I
Yeah.
know, but I've heard through the
Because
grapevine.
it was me, Brittany, and then the other girls.
Mm-hmm.
The four of us deliberately had to kill it. Like we were the ones who sent it to the farm upstate. Like
Yeah,
it was either that or because it was like we can't stay legally, but if we all leave, it's gonna it's gonna go away because there's no way the manager is gonna keep fighting for it even if all four of us leave.
but the community is still around. That's all that matters.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which
Mhm.
the place is just the place.
Yeah.
The community is still around here in Orlando, and
Mhm.
everybody's doing their things. Like you're doing your podcast.
Yep.
Juan's doing his music. I see Brittany all the time around places, and all the other staff.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I still run into a lot of the people I used to run into there.
I think yeah. No, I completely agree because I'm not really because I don't really do a lot of hanging out at the Kava bars like I did at Suva, just because
Well, when you
like
work there.
exactly working there was just so much fun, and the experience I got and the stories I got, and like it was my first ever job out of college,
Mhm.
and it was my first customer service job. Just
Oh,
no,
really?
you're completely right. It's just it makes sense why there was so much attached to it. And I was just talking about this with one of my buddies. That Sunday gig Juan and I had.
Yeah.
I mean, that meant so much to me because it was just going there with Juan and playing for 4 hours straight,
Yeah.
uninterrupted. I have this.
That's a thing to change your plan.
I have the literal.
Especially whenever you've never done something like that.
Mm-hmm. I have this. We had two Steins, the 40-ounce mugs.
Yeah.
I had the Stein filled, no syrup, no added, just green kratom, straight.
Yeah.
We're talking
Kind of like black coffee.
We're talking mud. Yeah, green.
It's like black coffee or like scotch, on the rocks.
Green kratom in this 40-ounce Stein, sitting on the piano as I'm playing jazz. I mean, dude, it was. Oh my gosh, dude. It was just so nice. And then that and then the open mic, and we had a pretty killer open mic going on. Like I was talking to Ethan when I had Ethan on. He was telling me stories about how some of his friends who were part of the Kava community would say like, "Hey, are you going to go to Suva? I hear there's going to be a ton of people there tonight," and he would keep hearing that. So I was really happy with the reputation we got for the open mic, but then there was another reputation that Suva had because of the old, like the previous management and all of that.
A buddy of mine named Colin,
Mhm.
he used to run a jam, which is Twisted Tuesday.
Yep.
Twisted Tuesday is a community here in Orlando that goes back to the Red Lion Pub.
Mhm.
This is before you were in high school. You weren't
But
even in the Orlando scene.
I was thinking about the Geek Easy because they also have a Twisted Tuesday.
because the Twisted Tuesday thing started at the Red Lion Pub.
Okay.
Then it
I
went to
gotcha.
the Hanau Center for a little bit,
Mhm.
and then before COVID lockdown, it moved to the Geek Easy.
Gotcha.
And then from the Geek Easy, it moved to St. Matt's. And then St. Matt's closed because they I'm not sure what's really going on with St. Matt's, but they got bought out, and they're going to do a renovation thing. And then it moved to the owner of St. Matt's has a property off of, I forget the name of the road, Princeton, I think. And then she had a big backyard, and they would have a bonfire, and then
Okay.
it would still have the fire dancers and all
Gotcha.
that kind of thing, and they would have bands come and play. I've gone there and played there, and a lot of my friends in the community have played there. And then it went from there to OptiView,
Hmm.
and from OptiView, well, before the OptiView thing, Colin had stopped doing it there for a while,
Hmm.
because he moved away, and he moves in Sarasota. He lives in Sarasota
Hmm.
now, and um, but anyway, it's still going. It's still going strong, and the community is still going strong. A friend of mine, Ashley Savage, she was promoting it at the OptiView, and then also at the at the Princeton spot.
Hmm.
So it's still a thing, but it's kind of one of them old school Orlando things
That's
now,
cool.
because it started back in probably 2014,
Wow.
2015.
That
Probably sooner,
I
but
would have been,
on
yeah.
like a smaller scale. But it was like somewhere up in that pocket.
Gotcha.
That it really kicked off, and yeah, it's still going, but a lot of the community is getting older, because like Colin and a lot of the people that originally
Hmm.
started it, like they were young people like you,
Hmm.
and now they're like in their mid-30s.
Right.
So it's an aging community. Although there
Yeah.
is younger people in the community and new people getting turned on to the whole thing that don't remember the Red Line Pub and all
Right.
that, all that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of cultural changes that have happened in Orlando over the years. Yeah, that's just one of them.
Yeah,
Just
man.
same thing with Suva, and other
Yeah.
places like that. Natura Coffee and Tea, that was another big one that was here for a long time. It was over by UCF.
Yeah, man. It's cause we were just talking about this before we started recording, that you are born and raised Florida.
Yes.
Different parts moved around, but born and raised.
Yeah, I'm originally from a small town down south called
Hmm.
Immokalee, Florida. Most people have never heard of that. Immokalee, Florida is in Collier County, which is right next to Naples, Florida.
Hmm.
It's a real small farm town, a real ghetto-y kind of place. 89% of the population are illegal aliens
There you
from
go.
from Mexico.
Yeah.
So it's like one of the poorest cities next to one of the richest cities in the state of Florida.
Wow.
So you have Naples, which you have Naples money. It's a lot of money there, and then Immokalee, Florida, which is you know dirt poor shacks,
So,
kind of thing. You know.
how is your Spanish?
I understand more than I speak.
Yeah.
So like, just as long as people don't speak too fast.
Yeah.
I wish I was better at it, but yeah, it's just something that I've never really learned over the years. But I can understand more than I speak.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, that is most white folks like us, where it's like when you learn a lot of Spanish, like you and I have, like it is the understanding that we're going to be better at, because what are we doing, right? We're learning the vocabulary, and we're always trying to find these words, and when we hear those words in the context of the situation, we will put things together. But when we're speaking it, I have a hard time speaking it, not just because I have a stutter, but it's also, like I yeah, like it's we know the vocab, but it's stringing it together to have like proper grammar. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I
but
mean
there's
I'm
masculine and feminine,
oh yeah,
a lot of details
just
that
whole
that
new
as
aspect.
English speakers we don't really consider, because
Nope.
cat is cat, the
Yep.
is the, whether you're man or woman.
Hmm.
Where in Spanish it's not like that.
Exactly. Yep. And
It's just like a little subtle thing.
yeah, and it's
I
so
wonder,
it's
I
so
wonder, I
interesting.
wonder, I wonder how the transgender thing, works out with the masculine and feminine with like the Latin languages. I'm
I
being
think
silly,
they
of
kind of
course.
just
I'm not trying to trigger anyone, but
I
it's like,
I
how do
think
we how do we deal with this?
I think they kind of gave up, man. I think once they hit Spanish, they could do it in English, they could do it here, but once they hit Spanish, they were like, this is gonna be way too hard.
Yeah, it's really not wired that way. You know what I mean? It's just kind of
I
a
mean,
whole other
well,
thing.
I mean, I do have an answer for you, and
Okay.
it's kind of even
Enlighten me, my friend.
even even the Latin community doesn't like it. even they think it's stupid, which it
Okay.
is. They say it's 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 not Latino, it's not Latina, it's Latin X.
Okay.
Stupid,
Yeah. Okay.
stupid. Like
Okay. Okay.
like okay, you got one word, one word done. Okay,
Yeah.
what about the other 3,000 words?
Yeah. Right.
Like, yeah, like that's it was a big thing because
It turns into a slippery slope.
yeah, it's like you're wanting to you're wanting to homogenize a gendered language where it's like, look, this has nothing to do with your politics. It's just impossible. Like
Well,
it's impossible.
well, as they say, if you try to please everyone, you'll end up losing yourself.
Of course,
So,
of course. I mean, you
that's just kind of
you can't take a
Eternal
language that's like 85% gendered words and then make it politically correct. Make whatever you want politically correct. I don't care what you do, but the language, it's impossible. The whole thing is or you know? It's so Latin X, that's what they would use like if you go on Spotify and you try to like cuz it was like when they would put their issue was with like saying Latina music or Latino music. They're like no, Latin X music. And then
okay.
like I'm the white guy, speaking for the community. So here comes, the target. But from what I understand, the community
Yeah.
was not.
Let's like get banned. Like,
Yeah,
right
I know,
now.
I know. But
I'm down for it.
from what I understand, the Hispanic community was not super happy with it because they were also like, we are not Latin X, like we are Latina and Latino. Yeah, yeah, man. It's
Semantics.
it is the language, man. It is what's cool about a lot of those Latin love languages, Italian, French, Spanish, um, uh, a lot of the languages are super similar. When you're looking at the grammar is almost, it's like 95% the same.
Yeah.
Like the way that the words are positioned in the sentence. The words are different, but the grammar is the same. So once you learn Spanish, Italian, some of those other European love languages will actually be much easier to learn, because they all borrow a lot from each other, Um, and when I was learning Spanish, let's see, because like in high school, I was not good. My grade was fine, but I was just not good at it. And then it was when I moved down here. Obviously, you kind of have to adapt when you move from Illinois to here. But I started picking it up, and honestly, when I met Juan and I started doing a bunch of the Spanish music, I was like, I kind of need to start learning this. If I'm gonna play their music, if I'm gonna perform their music, I better learn this, right? So I started practicing, and even like, because I had worked in Kissimmee at the hospital there for like a year and some change. And Kissimmee is like Puerto Rico Junior, so my Spanish got really good there. But I left that job last week and started a new job this week. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. The Spanish is it's fun, man. Languages. I love languages. We were just we were also talking before we started recording about. I love history and everything, and languages is another one of those. I love learning about
Yeah.
languages and stuff like that. But with you and performing, um, you've got to have some good performance stories. You've got to have some gigs
Okay.
that you've done where the venue was whack, or they were just dicks, or there's something that happened?
Oh, I've got a lot.
Yeah, spill, brother, spill, and I'm gonna adjust something real quick. But
Oh, where to begin? Oh, yeah. I remember in my hometown, early on in my early 20s, I was playing in this bar. It's called the Wow in Immokalee. You know, a friend of mine's mother, maybe it was his grandmother that used to own it. His name was Larry. You
Mhm.
know. Anyway, we were playing in this bar because back then I was playing in a Tejano band,
Mhm.
kind of like Selena, that kind of stuff,
Mhm.
doing cumbias and all that stuff like that, and norteño music and all that stuff like that. Anyway, the band I was in, we were called the Talento Band, right? Okay. It was me and some buddies from high school, and we had a guy that was an older guy that had the sound equipment, you know, and we would rehearse at his pad, and he was like our manager,
Mhm.
you know, this kind of thing. It's the first time I was in this type of thing. But anyway, we were playing there, right? And we were playing like all that kind of stuff, Tejano music. And we would play like one or two English songs. And one song that we would always play is Hotel California.
I love that song.
Now, the Wow in Immokalee is a cocaine bar,
There you go.
right? Okay. There's a lot of smuggling and all that kind of thing, which I don't want to go deep into that.
That's all right.
Okay. But yeah, it's one of them kind of bars, right? So like, you have every scutterhead in town, there, right? Okay. So we're playing there at the bar, right? Okay. And, on one of our breaks, this dude, and he was a white dude, that was there, that, this dude was like, man, I'm not sure. Can I like cuss on this?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm not sure if you want to keep it clean. So yeah, this cat goes, yeah, y'all guys are fucking badass, man. Man, if anybody fucks with you guys, man, I got your fucking back, bro. Like, dude, I'll fucking kill somebody for you motherfuckers, man.
Okay.
And this whole time, right, he's waving his hands like this. Now, his hand right here is maybe I can show it on camera, okay? It's like somebody busted his hand with like a meat cleaver like this, like back in the day, and it was like all cleaned up. So he had just these two fingers, right? And he's waving his hands like this, talking to you, right? Okay. And while he's like telling this story about how he's got our back, and he'll like, whatever, right? Okay. And he goes, yeah, man, I like him. I've been into a bunch of fights, and then he like lifted up his shirt, right? Okay. And he had a slit from his belly button all the way up to his sternum and all the way up through his chest here, that I guess somebody laid him out on a pool table and tried to knife him open, from a bar fight, right? Rough place, man. But anyway,
What the hell?
yeah, bro. And I was like your age. I was like 21,
Right.
22, and it's like, I'm just here playing guitar, in this spot. It's like, yeah, cool, man. Thanks, bro. Shake his hand, like that kind of thing.
Goodness.
But he was a cool cat, It's like
Right.
so it's like there's a lot of cats that are they come from the seedy part of town, but
Yeah.
they're cool people. But the thing is, whenever they got your back, they got your back hard.
Gosh.
You know what I mean? So that was kind of funny.
Dude, that
and
is
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, and then scutterheads all through that place.
I mean,
man,
that's
kinda-
that's one of those situations where you just got to Madagascar it and just smile and wave, right?
Oh, it's cool, man.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in the town, so it's just like people.
Okay, yeah,
people that-
yeah.
people that-
I've ran into a few of those. Nothing like old pork belly with the shit cut open, but
Yeah.
I've ran into I mean, was he on something? Because
Oh yeah. Yeah.
it sounded like he just came up and started talking.
Oh yeah. Well, he was a friend with Larry,
Okay.
the guy that ran the place,
Yeah.
and he was just a regular there, and that kind of place.
Uh-huh.
Although the Wow, it had the best burgers, man.
Yeah, okay. The Wow had the best cocaine and the best burgers,
The
huh?
best burgers, man. Like it had the best burgers, bro. It was like
Yeah.
the bomb, you know.
So he probably had
And like
a few burgers, yeah.
seafood plates and stuff like that. But it was a bar like where you can get drinks,
Yeah.
So you go there, kill beers, or, that kind of thing. And,
Gotcha.
it was pretty late at night, so it's like it's probably like 12 packs in already. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I've yeah, because I hadn't really, because I feel like he had good intentions, right? I mean, he was obviously just saying that he loves y'all,
Oh yeah.
but
Oh yeah.
you got to
Totally.
imagine someone, let's say like in your band, the drummer or just someone
Yeah.
who's probably done 2 gigs, and then they came along to play this one, and this is the first time they're kind of
and grew up in Winter Park.
yeah.
Yeah, that would
right.
that would scare the shit out of them.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that would
Which
totally
I
scare the
think
shit out of
you and I, so I don't have that experience from gigs. It's just from where I grew up with just like learning how to socially deal with just learning how to socially deal with shit like that,
Interesting character.
Yeah, and kind of learning at a younger age that you don't have to be scared unless there's something to be scared of.
Of course.
It's kind of like when I'm out with friends and like,
Because at the end of the day, people are people.
dude, absolutely,
And
yeah.
everybody wants a degree of respect.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yep. And it's kind of like
it's
when
just
I'm
kind of the way it is.
when I'm going out with friends or whatnot, like currently, and like we'll be approached by a homeless person or something, and some of my friends will kind of like get scared, which I think you should always have a level of like awareness, but at the same time, if they haven't presented anything that you should be scared of, especially if you're like if you're rocking with like 3 or 4 other people, homeless people, they aren't, it's not that they're dumb too. It's like they will also understand that if they have any malicious intent, they will also understand they aren't going to try to rock with, they aren't going to try to do anything with 3 other dudes around. Like they are smart enough to like to understand that, but like some of my buddies will get really skittish and like scared and whatnot. And it's like, man, like I'll just start talking to them. If I won't start a conversation, obviously I'm trying to get to where I'm trying to go. But if they start talking, it's not that you have to like pretend that they're not there. If they start talking,
people
and
are people, man.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. I've dealt with some of the lowest class of people, some of the highest class of people.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing an event. It was over towards Sanibel Island.
Mm-hmm.
It was I forget, like Palm Harbor, Gulf Harbor Resort or something like this. It was a real fancy place, and it was in Fort Myers. The mayor of Fort Myers, I forget his name at the time. He was there. All of the people on the local news, they were there. It was a big fundraiser thing. There was a lot of money being passed around and stuff like that. But in the area, in Sanibel and Captiva and Marco and all that, there's a lot of celebrities that live there, And the bass player for AC/DC, was there because he lived there and he was there part of the fundraiser, donating and doing all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. And people are having drinks, but they're not like having drinks like the Wow. You know what I mean? Right. Okay. It's just kind of like a casual thing.
For sure.
A lot of people with a lot of money are there. This type of thing. I was playing in a top 40 band.
Awesome.
Doing that type of thing, doing variety music. And the bass player for ACTZ was there, and they had an open bar. Because there was a lot of money.
Yeah.
The high shelf stuff. So the bass player for AC/DC proceeded to get completely hammered.
There you go.
like smashed to the point to where he's falling down. Okay, and like and like
Classy.
and like the chick that he was with, is like getting into an argument with him because he's too messed up.
Oh,
Right, and he's got
the worst to watch.
and he's got like a bottle of like vodka, like Grey Goose, in his hand,
Oh.
like this, and it's about halfway shot, this type of thing, and he's like laying down against the wall, and and they're arguing and this and that, and like every important person in like the city was at this thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Okay, but the thing is like they were like totally cool with it because he was the bass player for AC/DC.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we invited him and he donated a bunch of money, and
Yeah.
and they were cool with it,
Huh.
which is kind of interesting.
That really is.
It's like, wow. Okay, that was the bass player for AC/DC that I played in front of, and he was completely effing smashed.
Yeah.
It's like,
Sucks
cool,
that he won't remember who I was, but
but he like lives in that community down there. Same thing with a lot of members of like Aerosmith. Like I think the bass player for Aerosmith lived down there, and Alan Jackson and a lot of people. Katie Couric had a home down there, and I think that's more Marco. But there's a lot of people like that down there.
yeah.
Which is kind of weird because like you come across people like that, but then you on the other side you have like homeboy, telling that he's
Good old three fingers.
yeah, telling you that he's got your back. Yep. That kind of thing.
Yep.
It's kind of interesting.
Yep. I just yeah, no, dude, that's incredible, man. I just told the story when I had Ethan on, but I'll say it again. But it was I was getting gas at the Wawa just down the road, and just minding my own business. It wasn't the best day, so I kind of just had on some like random clothes on. I had my glasses on. I just was like, I just wanted to get out, get gas, and get home. That was the whole trip, right?
Yeah.
And I'm pumping gas there, and I'm just like standing there, and what I presume to be a homeless guy comes up to me. He starts his speech, right? And I'm just looking at him.
Pitch.
I'm just looking at him like I'm just so out of it, and I'm just watching him talk. And Larry, what are you doing?
I've made a new friend.
Yes, he had. Hey, buddy. But yeah, so he starts his pitch. Hey, man, I'm not sure if you got anything, but the hurricane was really bad, and I decided to hide behind the Walgreens, and you know what happens behind the Walgreens. Blah, blah. I'm just like, what the fuck happens behind the Walgreens?
I don't go hang out behind the Walgreens, so I don't know. Sorry, bro.
Yeah. So
he's really not a thing.
He is talking, and all while he's talking, I am watching him beat some world record. And this world record has everything to do with this saltine cracker he's holding on to. I've never seen a dude go 30 bites into a saltine cracker and still have half of it left.
Oh, really?
That brother was savoring it, man. Because while he's talking, he would just take another bite, and I'm just thinking like, I'm not hearing anything he's saying. I'm watching him 30 bites deep into this stupid little cracker, and I'm just thinking it hasn't fallen apart yet. Typically humans just eat those in one bite. Like, what are we doing here? So I'm just kind of, I'm entertained by that. And then all of a sudden he kind of starts choking.
Yeah.
And I'm just standing there. I haven't said or done anything yet. He's in the middle of his speech. He goes, and then he goes, but you're a really big guy, and I want to keep all my teeth, so I'm sorry. And he starts like with his head down, walking away. Yeah. I didn't say a single word. Yeah. He did this to himself.
Yeah.
He's talking, chokes and goes, you're a really big guy, and I want to, and then just.
Well, homeless people. There's a lot of different types of homeless people. I
found one type.
Yeah, because there's a lot of mentally ill homeless people, and a lot of people that have been in hospitals. That lose funding, and then they're not violent.
Yeah.
so they just let them loose. So there's a lot of them
Yeah.
around, and don't have people in their lives to take care of them. You
Right.
have those types of homeless people. Then you have the chronic junkie homeless people
Mm-hmm.
that are just losers.
Yes.
That they're just bad people. They just
Yep.
do drugs all the time. The reasons why they do that is plethora of things.
Beyond us. Yeah.
Plethora of things.
Yeah.
Some of it's trauma. Some of it's they're just bad people.
Yeah.
But then what's interesting is running across the homeless people that are like on a voyage.
Yeah.
Like I met this one guy at like a bus stop. That he was like, this guy had money,
Okay.
and he had a home to like go to. He just walked off one day, and he just said, "I don't want to live like this anymore," and he just walked off on like a spiritual quest. you know, you run across those cats.
Yeah.
And I've run across
I believe
more
it.
than I because I like talking to homeless people.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of a weird thing of
It's
mine. Like
no.
whenever I go for my walks,
It's
I
interesting.
always talk to whoever's around. You have to watch yourself, but I always talk to whoever, because I
Mhm.
take people as human beings, and
Of
this and that.
course.
And you run across some interesting characters, man. And like whenever you actually have a conversation with a homeless person, they they have interesting stories, man. A lot of them,
They have to.
you know,
I mean,
definitely.
that
And not all of them are just bad people.
absolutely.
Some people just don't have people in their life, and something tragic happens.
Yeah.
Like they get into a car wreck, then they're in a coma for a month, and then
Wow.
they come out, and then they have nothing.
Wow.
And they have no support system. There's a lot of different reasons why people are homeless, and just take them for face value, and just
Yep.
you know,
That's
you
why,
know,
like, with that,
just take them for
with that guy
who
at
they
the
are.
at the Wawa, like I like I was listening to what he was saying, and I was keeping eye contact. I don't want to, like, but at the end of, but then at the same time, like he opened and closed that book himself, like,
Yeah.
and he just walked away. I didn't say a word. Apparently, I look somewhat intimidating. I was like, all right, cool,
Right.
thanks, and
Good.
then I just went back to pumping my gas.
Yeah. Good.
And yeah, no, it's yeah, man, you kind of have to be people like you and I, like, we love listening to what anyone has to say, especially the like you just said, some of these people have lived lives that you wouldn't have even been able to come up with. But then at the same time, there is the stereotype. There is the reason why people are skittish around homeless
You definitely have to
people.
watch yourself.
Of course, you can't just
But you just have to watch
go
yourself.
up to
Period. Regardless
someone.
of whether the person's homeless or not. It's
Yeah.
we do live in a dangerous world. So
Yeah.
it's
No,
always best
seriously.
to be aware of your environment.
So where the why this whole conversation started was because I was saying, like, you had grown up in that place where what it was like 90% undocumented people,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
So for me, it was in Illinois. I spent the majority of my childhood living in a campground,
Yeah.
and it was like, it wasn't like a mobile home park, but it was, the majority of my time was spent at this campground. And when you grow up with good parents, that, it's like mom and dad, they would let me and my little brother just go in
Yeah.
this campground full of strangers, woods everywhere. We could get lost that night and never come back. And mom and dad would just kind of trust us, and that's when a lot of my childhood, I feel like that is where I developed the most, was just being on my own out in the campground, and and really learning how to talk to people at a young age and handle situations.
Yeah.
And then like when I'm going out and doing some of these gigs, um when I'm oh man, yeah, like I'm even like even my town that I grew up in, population of like 1,000, like 1,700,
Yeah.
right? Small. Um, you had some interesting cats there too,
Oh yeah, I'm
and
pretty sure.
and mom and dad did a really good job with kind of teaching us that same thing. Be careful, but there's no reason you can't listen, right? Like you listen first and assess if you're in a good situation, you know.
Well, you have to be cautious, but you can't be afraid of the world. You can't lock
Of
yourself in
course.
and
Of
and
course.
just shut the world out because you're afraid.
Yeah.
That's just kind of a stupid way of kind of going at life.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
just as there's a lot of bad things in this world, there's a lot of beautiful things in this world.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. No,
you know,
you are completely right. Um so you have you done any gigs? You've done gigs outside of Florida.
yes.
Yeah, tell me.
Uh, I Well, I was in this touring band. It was with Paula Bowers Sanchez. She was Seminole Indian. You
Hmm.
know,
Oh,
the Seminole Indian res is right in my town, and Big Cypress, which is the stretch from basically Immokalee, Everglades City, to the Lauderdale, Miami area. It's Alligator Alley that cuts
yeah.
across there. They call it Big Cypress, and that's Seminole country. A lot of people don't know that. The Seminoles, they were never conquered by the American government.
Hmm.
They were the only tribe that was never actually conquered.
Really?
You know, and a lot of people don't know that that stretch of Florida is kind of not really the United States. It's Seminole country. You know, but anyway, I don't want to get into all the politics of that because
No, but
that's
wow.
not that's not what we're here for.
But that's cool. Yeah.
But anyway, she was Seminole, okay, and the Seminole tribe of Florida owns all of the hard rocks in the whole world, you know, and
Wait. Say that again.
the Seminole tribe of Florida owns all of the hard rocks in like the whole world.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Damn.
Because they have a lot of money because
Talk
they
about
have casinos. They're big ranchers.
yeah.
Believe it or not,
Oh
they
yeah.
do a lot of cattle
Oh yeah.
and investments, and they're very, very,
All of the
very,
hard
very
rocks.
smart people.
Wow.
You know, um, and I have a lot of friends in the Seminole community because from where I grew up, and this and
Yeah.
that, and doing this tour, and it's just people that I've known
Yeah.
for my whole life. But anyway, Paula Bowers, she had a band. It was called the Paula Bowers Band, and I played guitar in it. A buddy of mine, Abel Avalos, which he used to work at Full Sail. He was the keyboard player, and we had different people on drums, and then different people on bass. George Ponce. I forget which artist that cat plays with now. He like lives in L.A. and he plays with like some big Latin artist, some Grammy award winning artist that I forget the name of it. But anyway, um, we played all over the U.S. It started out with playing for the inauguration of Barack Obama in
I'll be damned.
in well, we played a few gigs
Huh.
leading up to that. I played with her whenever I was like 22,
Yeah.
like like your age, whenever she first started doing this thing, and I stopped playing with her, because I just didn't want to do it anymore. It wasn't
Yeah.
really what it was a lot of pop music back then. Shania Twain was real big, so this is like 99. I remember playing a gig with her like 99 going into like 2000 at the Immokalee Casino. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? But anyway, I stopped playing with her, and and I ended up getting back in her band again. Because she had this big tour. Because in Lauderdale, there was like a talent show for like Native Music Rocks, and it was like to support. It was basically like America's Got Talent, right?
Okay.
But for Native Americans,
Yeah.
and actually, American Indians actually don't like being called Native Americans. They like being called American Indians.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
That makes sense.
So anyway, so when you call a person a Native American, that's really not a PC thing to say.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like calling an Asian person Oriental. You know,
Yeah.
just like you just don't do it. You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were having a talent contest throughout the U.S. to find talented American Indians, you know, to perform in this, and she had ended up winning one of the things, and we got. I didn't play at that gig. There was like another guitar player, you know, that like played on that gig, and then he bailed on her, and I guess didn't want to do the gig anymore, or didn't take it seriously, or I don't know what the scenario was.
The guitar player?
Yeah, whatever the dude was, you know, and he's like a friend of mine, and he's like a really cool cat, and I don't want to say anything negative about him, but anyway, it just didn't work out with him.
Yeah.
Okay, so he so I ended up getting in the gig, you know, and then we played a few things like at the Miccosukee Casino over in Hollywood, and you know, we played the Dome and did all that kind of stuff in Miami and all that stuff, and did some powwows and stuff. And then we ended up getting the gig playing for Barack Obama for 2009 inauguration where he first came into office. You know, so we went up to D.C. We stayed there for like 5 days. We did one concert at the Hard Rock there because there was like a showcase, you know. And one of the judges was a cat named Mickey Free. You know, Mickey Free. He lives in Lauderdale. Mickey Free was the guitar player for a band called Shalimar. Okay. You know, back in the day. And you know, are you familiar with the Dave Chappelle show? You're kind of young.
I know Dave Chappelle,
okay.
Just not his show.
But he had this series. It's called True Hollywood Stories with Charlie Murphy. You know, and he did a thing about Charlie Murphy, which is Eddie Murphy's brother. You know, told this story about playing basketball with Prince. Right, in his house, right, wow. And like he was like talking about the cats that were there, and Mickey Free was a part of this story, you know, like if you just look it up, you know, he like talks about how all the cats like look like women, you know, because Prince is very effeminate, you know,
oh yeah,
and the '80s was a very androgynous kind of culture time, especially with pop culture and stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So Mickey Free looks very much like that, you know. I'm not going to elaborate, okay?
Prince, yeah.
Yeah, okay?
Yep.
So anyway, Mickey Free was one of the judges, okay? And he has a band called the Stalking Horse Trio. They play like Hendrixy style kind of stuff, and he plays guitar. He's got a bass player and a drummer, and sometimes a keyboard player, and he does that thing. So so they had a big show for this inauguration party, you know, and that's what started the tour, you know, and then
awesome start.
And then from there, they liked how we interacted with the tour, and you know, this and that, and you know, because it's all about the hang, you know.
Yeah.
Not only just the music, you got to be a cool person to hang with,
of course.
You know? So from there we played. We played from there. We played in L.A., Hollywood, L.A. We played in Vegas like multiple times. We went out to Palm Springs, California, Green Bay, just a whole bunch of dates, man. Like we just toured like all over the U.S. with that group, which that was cool. And with her, she wanted to cut a record, you know, but she didn't have any songs. So all of us in the band wrote tunes, you know, and the drummer Abdias, he had produced some music, some records and stuff like that, you know, at that time. And so he was the producer, and we had 2 weeks to finish this record. You know, hey, write a record in
Seriously.
2 weeks. You know, give me a record in like 2 weeks. So we had this kind of task, you know. So week one, we went over to Abdias's house and we just collaborated from 10 a.m. in the morning until we couldn't go anymore, which was probably about 10 o'clock at night or like midnight, sometimes later.
Yeah.
And then we did that Monday through Friday, the first week. Okay. So from that, we got 10 songs together.
Wow.
10 finished tunes, you know, done, you know, with some extra little throwaway things here and there. You know what I mean? And the following week, we went to tracking. Tracking, for the people that don't know, studio jive is recording the parts. You know, the guitar part, the drum part, all that kind of stuff. So we tracked the whole record in the following week. You know, and finished the whole record. And then there was a few people that were going to be guest artists. Like we had Martha Redbone from New York City. She's a American Indian artist from, I think, one of the tribes up there in upstate New York or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, Blackfoot tribe or something. I don't know. You know, and I think the Mohawks are up there too. But anyway, you know, we had her, and then we had Keith Sicola, which he's an artist. He lives in Arizona. You know, he played American Indian flute, and he plays guitar and he sings. Singer songwriter, storyteller, kind of got really cool stuff. Keith Sicola, and he was on that tour. You know, and all that stuff like that. And then we just played that tour. You know, this and that, and
this
bounced around.
This was what year?
Oh, this 2009, 2010, 2011.
Okay.
I think the last gig I did with them was like 2011, and then I think the whole thing kind of petered out. It was called Native Music Rocks.
Yeah.
You know, it was a tour, you know, sponsored by the Seminole tribe.
That's cool.
You know, and the Hard Rock.
Yeah.
You know, and it was cool. You know, that was a cool thing.
That was a cool
thing.
That's awesome.
You know, I got a chance to play with some really serious people. You know, and play, you know, and listen to some really cool.
I mean, you got to play for the president's
president's
inauguration.
Yeah, to be a part of that history
cool.
was actually pretty cool.
That's
you know,
so cool.
At that gig, like
That's awesome.
At that gig, they had like 5 guitars rode up, and everybody that was on the tour, they, you know, if you were in the band on that show, they had you sign it.
Yeah.
So everybody in the Paula Bowers band signed it, and then Mickey Free and all them cats signed it. You know what I mean? So we have 5 or 6 guitars, I forget. But if you go around to the Hard Rocks, so I have some guitars in like Hard Rocks with my autograph on
That's
it, which
so cool.
which is actually pretty wicked.
That's
you
awesome.
Know what I mean? You know, so
that's awesome.
Anyway, it sounds more impressive than really what it is.
I
You
mean,
know,
no,
it's like
dude,
but it's pretty cool. You know,
it is impressive. That is awesome. Those are, I mean, that's because I mean, you just named so many locations. I think when
New York City Times Square. We played there. That was pretty wicked.
I mean, come on, that is awesome, man. That is so cool. I love man, yeah, being able to be a part of some sort of presidency thing is so cool. I think because again, I'm a huge history guy, so I think that's awesome. Are you booked to play for Trump?
No. I don't want to get political because I think that's people's personal business. You know that kind of thing. So yeah, all I do have to say is it's an interesting world that we live in.
It is, man. It's always going to be interesting.
Yes,
it is.
Yes, it's called being human on planet Earth.
It is called being human. It's called being in America.
And well, just being on planet Earth.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I think we live in a great country, regardless, because we have a lot of privilege in this country that a lot of people in this world do not have.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I'm very thankful to be born here in the U.S. That's for sure.
But man, okay,
and I'm not moving out anytime soon.
Right? Do you know which Hard Rock your signatures in? Like,
I know that
which
I know
location?
they have one at the Hollywood location. Location.
You have to get in for free,
Florida.
right?
Hollywood, Florida. No,
Come on.
I'm just a
Yeah.
spoken a wheel, bro.
Dude,
you
but
know, I'm
you
just a side man. You know. The thing is about that whole culture, the touring culture.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about that on that tour. You know, because that was the first one that I really
Yeah.
mess around with like that.
Hell of a first one.
Is you have the artist, right? Okay, which everybody, like, say for example, I'm just gonna use like an example, like Beyonce,
Sure.
you know, or whoever, fill in the blank,
Yeah.
right? Okay, you have that person, which everybody knows, right? That's the artist.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's a whole team of people that are behind those artists, you know, that are not only the promo people,
Huge team.
management people that actually perform the music live,
Mm-hmm.
right? That no one knows about. You know,
Oh yeah.
and as being a guitar player for like Beyonce, you'll probably make $1,000 a week.
Yeah.
Maybe if it's a banging band and they're generous, maybe $2,000 a week.
Yeah.
That's whenever you're on the tour.
Yeah.
But if you're on a big one, whenever you're not playing a gig, they have a hold, like they'll give you $1,000 a week or they'll give you $500 a week, just to make sure that you don't go and take another gig. You know,
yeah,
because they like the way you play and they like your vibe.
They want to.
So that's
they want to keep you.
It's kind of being a what's the word for it? It's like you're paid mercenary. You know, like your gig is to kick ass on your instrument,
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
or to be the band director and kick ass on your instrument and bring your thing. You know, and you're not a star. Right. You're playing with stars.
Correct.
But you're just a guitar player for a star.
Mm-hmm.
So you as a person, like you can be walking around in the hotel and nobody knows who the hell you are.
Right.
You know, and you could go down and go through the city and you got mobs of people around you.
I mean, you are an employee.
Yeah,
right?
basically, you know, a better end of it, but you know.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of people that tour with a lot of major artists that are really struggling to like make ends meet.
Yeah.
You know, because the biggest thing that I found out about that is, you know, sometimes you're out of town just long enough to mess up your local thing. You know,
yeah.
like, okay, you know, well, let's just talk about, okay, what it takes to be a professional musician. Okay. A lot of people have this very job perspective, like I work for X employer. Right. And I get everything I need in life from X employer. You know what I mean? You know, pigeon and gold watch kind of thing that we're taught in the system, you know? But it's not really like that, you know, because as a musician, you're an entrepreneur, okay? Because if you go at it with, okay, I need to find somebody to employ me all the time, okay, you're setting yourself up for failure, okay. So like for example, you'll have a teaching gig,
mm-hmm.
you know, where you go and you teach people,
right,
and then you have a top 40 band you play with, and then you have like a touring band that mm-hmm. calls you here and there. And then, you know, you do some studio sessions. If you're lucky enough to get on some cool recordings, like where you get some royalties,
some residuals.
You know, like I have a buddy of mine that played on all the NWA stuff from like back in the day. You know, and he lives here in town. You know, and like
what did he play on there?
Bass.
Yeah.
So on those records, like whenever you hear him talk about the secret weapon, it's that cat.
Yeah,
you know, he's a bass player. He's a nerdy Cuban guy from like Miami.
Yeah,
you know, that's
NWA.
That's not NWA at all.
Not at all.
You know what I mean? You know,
that's BWA.
But you know what goes behind the screen. You know, people don't see how the sausage is made.
Of course.
You know, so anyway. You know, like if you're lucky enough to get those types of things, you know, or you know, you record music, you know, and you try to get it used for movies and like this type of thing. So it's a multi-layered onion. You have to approach it that way, mm-hmm. rather than one thing that I'm doing. It's like I play music for a living, or I teach for a living, or I do this or I do that. It's too one-sided.
Yeah.
Because in our school systems, we're taught this way, but the world doesn't work that way.
No.
Unless you're a lucky person that, okay, I go to UCF and I get an engineering degree and I work at Siemens Energy for the next 30 years, and then I get a pension and a gold watch and retirement, and most people's reality in the modern age is really not that at all.
Not at all. Yeah.
Because in '97, our economy was gutted. It was sent overseas because cheap labor. I don't want to get into the political aspect of that, but there's a lot of that because that happened whenever I graduated out of high school. Whenever I graduated high school in '97, that was the year whenever they opened the borders to NAFTA and all this kind of stuff that took all of those gold watch and pension jobs and gutted it.
Yep.
So yeah, but regardless of all that political stuff, I don't want to get into all that political junk. But as a musician or anybody that's in the arts, you have to think like an entrepreneur.
Of course.
Okay. How can I get multiple revenue streams, and keep them open? That's
your tree has to have a lot of roots.
Correct.
A lot of roots.
Correct.
Like you can't just like the tree is just not going to grow with just a single root that's down there. You have to have one splitting off, getting money from here and here, because I mean think of how versatile a talent like that is, right? Because I think a lot of people really don't understand just how, for one, just how talented they are. Two, just how much stuff they can do with that talent, right?
Of course.
Like I was kind of struggling with this when I had first graduated, and I'm still kind of struggling with it now. I'm not gonna fully understand everything I can do yet, right? But like, let's just take the example with what you and I do, like audio, right? Even something like this, like just recording.
Mm-hmm.
For you and I, at least how I see it, it's such a simple thing. I have the shit. I know what to hit, and I know what that should look like, and I know how to set things up and normalize the audio and get everything going. To someone who doesn't understand, to someone who's never seen a DAW, this is like Play-Doh for you and I. Like we know this.
Or playing upper structures on complex chord changes,
exactly.
And thematically developing them. That's not really, what?
Right.
Right. Yeah.
But like for us, it's like washing our hands. It's what we do. It's what we know. And it gets to a point sometimes where, like, at least for me, I don't fully understand just what I can do with it. Like when I first graduated, I didn't understand, like, well, if I know how to record and if I know how to edit and mix, there are so many people who don't know how to do that.
Oh yeah.
But they're never gonna know who I am unless I get out there and I tell them, hey, I can offer this, so you don't have to put up with this shit. Send it over to me. Send it over to me. And you will love it. And once you get that relationship established, they're going to keep coming back to you.
People make the world go round. So the more people it's not so much for them to do favors for you, but it's everybody needs something.
Of course.
And everybody has a skill that'll meet that need.
Of course.
Whatever it may be. That being said, like the multitasking thing you have to do in order to make a living in any types of arts or anything like this. Going back to the road thing, like whenever you're in a road band, right? It cuts off your ties to certain things. For example, like if you're on the road, it's not like you can go and teach lessons on the road.
Yeah, right.
Now you can because there's Zoom and all that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. But whenever I was touring,
That's
that wasn't a thing.
That's a good point.
You
Yeah.
know, and it's like all of your stuff that you've built up, like your local gigs, your local bands that would call you to play, do top 40 or do sessions or like whatever. You know, there's only so many times you say no till they stop calling you.
Of course, yeah. Like all of
You know,
those.
hey man, I'm
Yep.
sorry, I'm in Vegas this week. Oh, okay, cool. That's cool. That's cool that you're in Vegas. I wish we had you. Then they
Yeah.
go to the next person on the list.
A,
You know, and
a
then
parent calling because like
after a
their
time,
their kids, one of your students or something like that, and it's like, hey, we're they're gonna have to find someone else.
some people are willing to wait, you know, but you know, it's just kind of the danger of that business, and you know,
Just
like
how it is, yeah.
like people that are touring and making money from that, and that's their life. First off, it's a hard life because traveling is tough, man. You know,
dude, I
that
couldn't even imagine.
there's a movie. What was it called? Lost in Translation.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much the way it is.
Yeah.
Like everybody thinks of it. Oh, I toured with a rock band. Cool, awesome. Yeah. It's just like after party, after party, buck wild. You know, this and that. But you know, you're dealing with jet lag. You're dealing with your baggage not coming. You know, you're dealing with not having sleep.
No sleep.
You know, dude, like, and then if you're young and dumb, like whenever I was touring, you know, you're gonna party. You know, darn, I'm in friggin' Vegas, so you're gonna party like a rock star, and then you sleep for 2 hours, and then you're on a jet, and then you show up to your next gig with jet lag and like hung over and stuff like this, and that wears on you, man.
Were
You
there
know,
any?
and it really wears on your mental health. You know,
Oh my gosh,
and
yeah.
also physical health. So touring, like you have to understand like what you're getting into whenever you do that.
Yeah.
You know, it like looks good on paper, and
Like most things, yeah.
you know, and the body bounces back whenever you're younger, like a 22-year-old guy. Even like whenever you're 30, it still bounces back pretty good. You know, it's still,
Yeah.
you have body changes whenever you hit 30, but you're still young.
For sure.
You know, I just turned 47, and I'm still relatively young.
Yeah.
You know, but my body doesn't bounce back like it was whenever I was 22.
Right.
So like for me to go all night and then get an hour's worth of sleep and then jump on a red-eye flight to go across the country and get off the plane and go to sound check immediately, you know, that it's tough, man.
Gosh. Were there any
You know,
older cats that you were with that were like trying to tell who were trying to like sway you from not partying and
No.
whatnot? No.
no,
No.
they're just fuck it.
Yeah.
You know they'll like figure it out.
Okay.
You know? But
it's yeah, kind of.
they a lot of them older cats, you know, liked hanging out with us because
Sure.
we were young and everything was new to us, and they
Sure.
had been doing it for so long they didn't see it through the eyes that
That's
we
cool.
saw it.
That's yeah.
You know, and that's one thing they like told us about. But one thing I noticed, man, there was this cat I met. He's a really cool cat, man. His name's Banks, right? William Banks, but everybody called him Banks. He played in this reggae band, this artist named Casper. But Banks, he was from the DC area,
Yeah.
and he was from the punk rock scene in like DC. He was the bass player for the Bad Brains, you know, which is totally wicked. If anybody knows about the history of the DC area, Bad Brains was like the first like black punk rock band,
Awesome.
you know, and really prolific, you know, in the punk rock thrash scene. But Banks was the bass player for that band,
Yeah.
and we didn't even know it because he wasn't like running around. Hey, I was the bass player
Sure.
for, you know, this and that. And it's like we had talked to him about it. He was like my hanging buddy on like the tour bus, you know, and we were just bullshitting, you know. This guy was like probably up in his like late 50s,
Yeah.
early 60s. Whenever I'm, you know, right, you know, so we were talking about all that, and then he goes, "Yeah, man, I used to play in a lot of punk rock in like DC, you know, this and that." And then it's like, "Yeah, man, I love the DC punk rock scene. You know, I love, you know, the Bad Brains and all this stuff like, you know, like this." He goes, "Yeah, you know, I know all them guys. You know, the lead singer's a fucking weirdo. You know, whatever he said. You know, I'm not trying to put any words
Yeah.
in his mouth." But he would just say that kind of stuff, and then it's like, "Yeah, man, you know." Then he said, "Yeah, man, I used to play in the Bad Brains." And you're like, you're the bass player in the battery? He goes, yeah. He goes, back then I used to go by the name Brains. Like, what? Like, what the fuck?
Wow.
You know, but man, the thing about that cat, you know,
Wow.
which I'm still friends with him. You know, we haven't. I should give him a call, but he used to chill. You know, he used to every time we would fly out, he wouldn't go out and hang in the after party.
Right.
He would like chill in his room.
Yeah.
You know. And like, I wonder why he did that. Like, why the fuck you chill in your room?
Right.
You know, it's like you're in a badass city, man. You know, it's like, why don't you go out and like, right? But no, he would just make his money, and he would chill in his room.
Yeah.
And he was the coolest fucking cat, man.
I bet
Rasta dude, man. Like straight up Rasta. You know, that's the first time I got hooked up. You know, I hung out with a real Rasta with a real Rasta dude. You know, whenever I moved here to Orlando, I got hooked up with a lot of Jamaican cats playing reggae. Like I still do that kind of thing now. You know, like there's a lot of Jamaican community around here that goes back to Kingston, you know, and stuff like that, Jamaica and Montego Bay and other places like that down, you know, down there. But it's just like really interesting, like seeing an old road cat like that, like how they move, you know, because they're not like partying like David Lee Roth and shit.
Yeah.
You know, they
I bet he felt a lot better the next morning compared to all of y'all, right?
Because he's sitting there at the airport chilling.
Yeah.
With his cup of coffee.
Yeah.
With plenty of sleep.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of energy.
It's just another morning for him, and
he's cool.
You guys are.
Then it's like we're just like fucking like just rode out, man. Like what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Wow.
Holy shit! Got an hour's worth of sleep, and I couldn't really sleep.
How
skip breakfast and
how old was he?
You know?
How old was he during that time? Like when y'all were sitting in the airport,
like 50s, early 60s.
So he had probably already done what you were doing.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Okay. So he's in the bad brains and he's in all kinds of shit, man. He's just That dude.
It's
that
from
dude
experience.
That dude was one of the most versatile bass players. Like I heard because he was just doing the reggae thing.
Yeah.
You know, which reggae bass playing is wicked. Just to begin with.
I mean, the genre is bass. I mean,
bass and drums, and then the reggae skank kind of thing, bubble skank thing. But you know, I heard him like go off one time, like on his bass. Like one time, he just like went the fuck off on his bass. Like they gave him a solo, and he just like fucking ripped it.
Yeah,
and he was playing like some Stanley Clark shit, man. Stanley Clark, man, played with Herbie, you know, and man, he's just known for chops.
Yeah.
Like just fucking chops.
That's awesome.
And dude, that cat just killed it, bro.
That's so cool.
But normally, you don't ever see him do that. You would never see that shit coming, man. He just like pocket, cool,
right?
And then all of a sudden,
a bass player, right?
Yeah, being a bass player. You know, he's not going to be doing a bunch of fast licks for you, and he's not going to be warming up with his amp, doing a bunch of shit. You know what I mean? But you hear him let the cap off the can, and he fucking rips it, bro. Yeah. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of cats.
He sounds like a
very humbling,
class act guy.
Very class act.
That's
William
awesome.
Banks, man. Banks, man. Banks is my brother, man. Yeah, man.
That's awesome, man.
Dude,
dude, this is great, man. I knew you had. I knew you had done shit, but like it's really cool to actually hear some of the specifics, man. It's awesome. That was now so the one tour with the what was the woman's name?
Paula Bowers.
So that was a tour.
You can find all that stuff is on YouTube.
That
was
on the road, right?
Yeah, that was a road gig.
And then this thing with Banks was on the road too.
Yeah, well, I didn't play with him. He was in another band on that tour.
Okay, so
how
did you guys? Did they have set like multiple bands
Yeah.
moving at the same time?
Yeah. Because we would play festivals, or it would be
Gotcha.
the Native Music Rock show.
Gotcha.
So it would be a multiple lineup.
Super
cool.
cool.
And, Mickey Free would play, and then was another artist, Crystal Shawanda was on there.
Oh,
There was
man,
there's like a whole bunch of them, man.
There's another
whole slew of them.
there's another reality where you just didn't end up meeting him, right? I mean, was that like a chance thing? Because if you guys weren't part of the same band, was it just you guys just brushed shoulders?
No, it was
one
just
night.
no. It's just because we're on the same tour bus.
Oh, there you go. Okay,
We're on the same tour.
Gotcha.
Tour buses.
Tour company, right? The same.
Well, it was mostly flying around, and then there was some where we had to be on buses.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That kind of thing. But then we're all in the same spots. So like in the hotels, you
Yeah.
know. The big thing is out whenever you're on the road, is like whenever you show up to a new town, it's like, who's gonna find the weed?
Yeah.
Right? Like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And there was one band, the fucking reggae band. They had a guy with them that was his gig.
Oh yeah.
He was connected like all
Just
over the fucking country,
just
bro.
Finding the weed.
And his shit was like, I know the weed guy.
That's kind of like
You know what I mean?
like Snoop Dogg has this one guy on payroll, and it's just to roll. That's it.
And he's
to roll.
and he's like probably that guy to get the weed to get in town.
Yeah,
But
that's all he
nowadays
does.
it's like legal in most states,
Yeah.
so it's not a big deal. But back then,
You had to have a hookup. That's funny. Man.
yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
That's funny.
I remember that dude too, man. He had fucking red
Man,
hair.
I bet they're pissed when they're looking at all these laws being passed. They're like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, right.
If only it happened sooner.
Yeah, man.
Man, that's super
It's
cool,
brain
man.
food, man. Brain food.
Yeah.
I stopped doing that,
Yeah,
doing all that kind of thing.
I've done it probably.
It's like legal now, and I stopped.
Right.
It's
It's not fun anymore.
yeah,
Yeah.
breaking the law was fun,
Yeah.
Now it's not, so I'm fucking cool.
I've probably done it 4 times in my life, if maybe 3. It's not super hyped about how it makes you feel, now, but the thing is, and this is every time I say this to someone who's actually pretty deep into it, they're like, well, duh. But I only do edibles. If I were to do it, I can't smoke. I mean,
Yeah.
and then every time I say that, if I'm whoever I'm talking to, they're like, well, yeah, duh, blah blah blah. It's like, no, I get it. It's a whole it's a completely different thing, but because my voice and singing is that is what makes me money.
Yeah.
I don't care what kind of smoke it is. Like
it's like really bad for vocalists.
I
Yeah,
will
definitely.
not.
Unless you're singing blues.
Yeah, blues or yeah.
Yeah.
So edibles, I'm like, well, yeah. Clearly, I like eating as it is. Let's put some shit
Yeah.
in that. So
You're like retarded,
yeah,
You're like-
and I just not. It's just I can't. I turn into like a ladybug. I can't do anything.
Okay.
I can't do anything. And then I was just like, I'm just not interested in this. Like it's fun with friends and whatnot, but like when people say like, oh yeah, like I get high all the time to do this and to do that and to do this, and it's like, no, because when I get high,
Excuse me.
I couldn't guide a spoon to my mouth. Like I could
Oh,
not.
Really? I'd like to talk about some new stuff.
Talk, brother.
Because I know I'm a little older, but I don't live in the past. The past is the past. I had a great time. There
course.
was a lot of really dark shit too. But the past is the past. I like living in the now.
Yeah.
And projecting into the future and using the past as lessons to make all that better. What I'm doing now is I've been doing Tropical City Jazz, which is my jazz group.
Awesome.
I play around as a solo doing that, but I also have a lot of new releases that I've been releasing and producing and stuff like that for that. So that's that, and then I have my publishing company and just my general company, which is Mystic Mays Media, which I'm it's starting in January 1st of 2025. I've been fortunate enough to be able to make a living in music and arts my whole life.
That's
like
awesome.
like I started whenever I was 19 out of like high school, playing in chicken wire for the president, kind of thing.
That's awesome.
So I was fortunate enough to get into that, and you just kind of ride through life, and you're doing your thing, chugging along, doing all that,
Yeah.
and then I arrived at a point whenever I'm in my 40s where it's like, hey, I've been operating a business this whole time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And like having that sink in, because I was just a young guy that played guitar and loved creating music and doing art and doing all this stuff, and then you wake up a middle-aged person realizing, oh, I could like, there's a higher capture rate within all of this, So I'm starting Mystic Mays Media, which Mystic Mays Media is a publishing company for music, aka record label. Record labels aren't really fucking relative anymore.
Yeah.
That's just bullshit, But publishing company,
Absolutely.
that is definitely still relevant. And then also releasing educational stuff like music books, doing and also doing production for other artists, producing other artists, things that I've been doing anyway.
Yeah.
I just kind of like just made a big list of all the crazy shit that I do.
Isn't this what we were just talking about? How like someone will be talented but not understand the scope of what they can actually do. Like,
Yeah.
if someone just met you, guitar player, but
Yeah.
it's like, oh, but you don't understand how much is attached to that, how many branches that tree has.
I'm actually curious as to what that is, because like whenever I go to a jam session or
Sure.
something like that, or like somebody sees me play, like for like these younger cats on the scene in Orlando that just showed up to Full Sail and UCF and this and that, and they run into me in the dregs of Orlando. It's like I wonder what runs through their head. It's like, man, this guy's like, just dad rock fucking dude. I remember I was doing a show over at Grumpy's Underground.
Oh,
right?
I know.
No, it was Uncle Lou's. Grumpy's was next door.
I've done both of them. Yeah.
Grumpy's is next door, and there were some cats, and this cat that I know, he was a cool cat, but he didn't know me, because I'm older. I look like a cat that would play a bunch of classic rock and
Sure.
just be dad rock guy, which I can play all that, but that's not me. You know what I mean?
Right.
No longer is like being a Tejano artist. Like I can play that, but I'm not Tejano guy.
Right.
I know that style in and out, but I'm not that person.
Right.
Because I've had to play so many different things over the years,
Yeah.
and I'm really known for being a chameleon. Like I can adapt to whatever I'm in.
Yeah.
But anyway, I remember I was doing a Tropical City Jazz show. Back then it was called Burn the World Band. It was coming out of 2020, whatever. Anyway, that's long dead. It's Tropical City Jazz now. So I was doing a show at Uncle Lou's, right? And then they had a jam session or something like that on right next door, right? And some of the cats came in, and what I would do is there's an original tune that I play. It's called Liquid Dreams, right? Wrote this fucking years ago. But anyway, it's like a samba type tune, playing my jazz thing on it. And like at the end of it, I segue it into the riff of You Don't Need No Education, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Another
little bit of Floyd.
Another Brick of the Wall, part 2, right? And we jammed in. And this cat walked in the door whenever we were quoting that.
Okay.
Right? So his whole perspective of me was that.
Yeah.
Was that small little window.
Oh yeah.
Like you see, and he came up to me afterwards. He's like, he saw me over at Grumpy's because I went over to Grumpy's because it was right there, you know. And he goes, yeah, man, you know, you should come in and jam like we do all of the classic rock stuff here too. You know, he was like talking to me. He's like, yeah, it's totally cool to do dad rock, dad, like kind of vibe, right? Okay, without saying that shit, right? But he was basically saying that shit, you know. You know, and it's like I found it interesting that this cat, like, dude, like you don't even know what I do.
Doesn't even understand.
You don't even understand what I do. You know, like in Orlando, you know, I can play so many different styles of music. Like I played in hotels playing classical guitar. I can play flamenco-y kind of stuff. I'm not a real flamenco player. I showed up to a backyard barbecue one time that a percussion friend of mine invited me to. And it was every wicked flamenco player in Orlando was there.
Those guys are different, man.
Like just every wicked flamenco player was there, you know. And I was like, okay, I think my mic cut out.
Son of a bitch, what is going on with that?
Maybe I'm bumping it.
You know what? It's still getting the audio. It's just for some reason it's not.
That's cool.
Yeah. All right.
That's cool. You know, the thing bouncing back is kind of weird to me. Anyway, so it's like I show up this party and it's like, okay, we're gonna do flamenco.
Yeah.
You know, and I brought my hollow body guitar and you know, and I get down with these cats, man. I have a fucking blast, man. You know, totally hang with them
for sure.
You know, totally cool. You know, but it's weird. You know, it's like whenever I meet people because I used to run a lot of jazz jam sessions around here, and most people around in Orlando know me as a jazz musician,
right?
You know, because I had the Bryan Mays trio here in town that had played since whenever I was working with Paula. You know, like coming out of that Paula thing. I just went balls to the wall, not Tropical City Jazz, but Bryan Mays trio thing. And a lot of people think of me as that, you know, but I play blues, I can play country, I play everything, bro. Reggae.
Yeah.
I could play reggae with Jamaican motherfuckers and they think I'm from fucking Jamaica. You know, like this type of thing, you know. Other styles I know better than others. You know, I'm a pretty versatile person.
Yeah.
You know, and with my jazz music, you know, I come from that perspective. You know, because a lot of people think that jazz music is just jingling, 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 swing. But in my adventures, especially as a young guy, I played with a lot of cats that were from the swing era, which is the 1930s. 30s and 40s, you know, pre-World War II, World War II era kind of swing people. And swing music is not jazz. Swing music is swing music, which swing music is popular music from that time period, right? And the word jazz is improvisation.
Yeah.
Meaning composing melodies in the moment, right? So the way the old swing era cats think about that is like, hey, do you want to play some jazz on this song? The way they word it is, hey, do you want to play some jazz on this chart?
Yeah.
Because everybody read charts.
Right.
You know? So jazz is improvisation, right? Now there's jazz music nowadays because you have music that's framed to be improvised on, right? It's not meant to be a pop song.
Right.
It's meant to be cool music that we improvise on, right? Which it comes from the swing, sometimes the even eighth note thing, sometimes a Latin thing, a lot of different things that can happen, funk rock kind of things, fusion and stuff. But really, jazz in my mind is not a style. You know, swing is a style,
right?
You know. But jazz is improvisation. So for example, if you're playing like a hip hop tune and you played a guitar solo on a hip hop tune,
right,
you're playing jazz.
Yeah.
Meaning that you're improvising. So if you're playing in a death metal band and you take a guitar solo or a drum solo or a bass solo and it's completely improvised in the framework of the song, that's jazz.
Yeah.
So you can put jazz on anything, right? You know. I went to college for jazz, and I've studied all this shit. You
I
know what
love
I mean?
jazz so much.
And
Man. I love it.
but the thing is like whenever you say the word jazz, like in the modern age, it's almost like a cuss word.
Yeah.
Because it frames jiggling, boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom,
Fly
boom.
me to the moon.
It's right, okay, which is
It's so much more than that.
But what you just saying is the Tin Pen Alley repertoire,
Yeah.
which is a part of the American Songbook. The American Songbook is all of the popular music.
I think I have it.
Yeah, starting. Well, you can't really have it because
No?
you can't publish all those songs.
I think.
So,
Mine is the study of. I got it from the school. I crossed wires. It's a study of the people who who contributed to it, but not the actual one.
Well. So the Great American Songbook. You have to figure like the recording industry started in 1920.
Yeah.
Right. Because of technical reasons, right? Yeah. So from that period until now, it's all the popular music that came throughout the years. So the first wave of that was Broadway musical music, right? Which led to the Sinatras and Tommy Dorseys and Nancy Wilson and all the Tin Pan Alley like original swing artists.
Right.
And then you have all of the psychedelic rock and pop from like the 60s, 50s, rock and roll.
Yeah.
You have the 50s pop music. Then you go into all of the music, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, Jimi Hendrix, The Cream, Clapton, the Beatles, even now with like Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake, and all of the music that's popular, right? Okay, all this part is weaving the tapestry of the American experience.
Yeah.
So that's really what the American Songbook is.
Yeah.
And all of those songs are vehicles to put jazz on.
Okay.
That's what jazz is.
I got you.
Right? So jazz is not necessarily swing, but American music is swing in like the respect about because if you think about a swing rhythm is jingling, right?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It emulates the American experience, which is a train.
Yeah.
Right? So the expansion west, okay, the expansion of trains moving west,
yep.
Right? So a lot underlying in every groove in the American beat, which is our culture, which is the greatest export that America has, right? The whole globe has copied America.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
K-pop wouldn't exist without America.
Of course.
J-pop wouldn't exist without America, right? A lot of European rock and roll styles wouldn't exist, and pop styles wouldn't exist without the influence of the American thing,
Yeah.
So, so that being said, the underlying tone even now is the sound of a train. Jingling, jingling, ding, boom, 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 boom. Right? So underlying our rhythms is a train. Because that's the life.
I never thought.
That's the lifeblood of our.
I never thought about it like that.
Of our country and our culture, especially in the beginning days. Even now, trains are a big thing, but less so now because we have other things like that. And the average person doesn't have a connection with a train like they did in the old times, especially at the beginning of recorded music.
The only connection
and
now
whatever.
just a canvas to spray paint on. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. And yeah. So in other words, whenever I play the Great American Songbook, I'll play things like Ain't No Scrubs.
Yeah.
Yep. And I play it with my band, and people are like, they're playing Ain't No Scrubs. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, right? Okay. And a lot of people,
I thought this guy was dad rock. What the heck?
a lot of people that are in the jazz community, they're so brainwashed by the education system of jazz. Okay. Which is telling them to play bebop and swing, right? And then they get out of school, then they can't make any money because no one wants to listen to that shit anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? That they end up going and playing in pop and rock bands, and this and that, and then they kind of lose their way, and then get assimilated into top 40 world, right? So anyway, when been there, done it.
Mhm.
Studied bebop and swing very intensely for a very long time, and I still do in a lot of ways. But a lot of ways I've let that go.
Yeah.
But a lot of the jazz culture hates on modern music.
Okay.
Which it's a part of the culture, which is kind of weird, and I think it's stupid.
Right.
But how can you keep an art alive? The only way you can keep an art alive is by appealing to the masses with it, because the reason why the original jazz artists performed on those tunes, those swing tunes, is because they were popular music during the time period.
Right. That was pop music then.
And they had to play on things that people would want to listen to, and that was the vehicle for their improvisation.
Right.
Like what Wayne Shorter said. He said, improvisation is composition sped up, and composition is improvisation slowed down.
That's nice.
So if you think about it, whenever you compose a song or you compose a melody, you have time to tinker with it. Oh, I don't like that song. I don't like that rhythm. I don't like that note. I don't like that phrase. And you can set it on the shelf for a month or a year and come back to it and tinker with it. Where whenever you're improvising in the true improvising spirit, is that you have to compose now with no safety net. Once it's out there, it's out there.
Yeah.
There's no taking it back.
That is the only version that will ever exist. Is
And
the
that's
version
jazz.
you just played.
And that's jazz.
That's wow.
That's not swing. That's not bossa nova. That's not anything that a intellectual institution will tell you is jazz. Jazz is improvisation. Jazz has been around since the dawn of time, and it'll be here until the last human being.
Absolutely. I think
that's what jazz is.
That's
in my book.
No, I mean, dude, you are completely right. It's jazz has such a special place in my heart too, because jazz in the sense of being improvised and what I would call commercial jazz, which like you said, what the institutions teach you what jazz is.
Yeah.
It all means so much to me because, it is, like I said, like what we were talking about earlier with improving at Suva on the Sundays.
Yeah.
Juan and I would play jazz for like 4 hours. Dude, nothing like it. When you can get in that pocket and just play, when you've played enough to know all of the keys, to know which notes are black and which notes are white, and which ones, and then how to raise the seventh to make it sound real nice,
Yeah.
There's no feeling like it when you can just improvise and play in the moment. Helps with a 40-ounce cup of green kratom, but
yeah.
But
for my case, back in the day, a good thing of like whiskey, but I stopped doing that, but
yeah, I'm not that. Do you drink now or
no? I do not drink alcohol. I stopped. I stopped.
How long have you been sober from alcohol?
May 2019.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's incredible, man.
Yeah. And it was a problem ever since I became a professional player. Like like when I was 19, a lot of alcohol is around.
Oh, yeah.
And drugs too. So if you're underage, people don't care. They'll just give it to you.
Of course.
And it's always free and accessible, and it's just something kind of like
When you were on the road, that's
time.
when it started.
Oh no. Before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But when you were on the road, did you kind of did you find yourself falling into the thought of like, well, I need this to get to be able to get through something?
No, it wasn't really like that. It was just kind of like
it was there.
It was there.
Yeah.
And and it was just kind of like that.
Yeah.
And it was just always around, and all of a sudden, like, you wake up one day and it's like, oh, it's 9 a.m. in the morning and I want a beer. you know, or like, hey, it's 9 a.m. in the morning and I'm drinking scotch.
Yeah.
Holy shit! How did
Wow.
I arrive here in my life? That kind of thing.
Wow.
So especially whenever you work in the music industry, because like you have an open ended schedule, so it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
24-hour clock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just kind of the way that goes.
Alcohol for me. I mean, I've probably the amount of like moments where I've had alcohol, I could fit on two hands now. It's just not.
Well, that's good.
It's just not
That's
something.
good. Good for you, man.
I even tried to like.
Keep it that way.
Oh no! Yeah, no. It's
Keep it
not
that
like
way.
I'm trying to break any records here. But there was one time I was out grocery shopping, and I was like, you know what? I've never bought like wine. I'm an adult now.
Okay.
I'm trying to be an.
Well, you are also 22, so like you being legal, that was like last year.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, like,
yeah.
yeah.
But I was like, you know what? I've never
different
bought
thing.
wine. And people always say, oh, it's nice to just have an afternoon. Maybe I'm playing video games with my friends, or I'm doing something, and I just have a glass of wine, something. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try to practice this whole adult thing, and it tasted good, but it just didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, beer is fine too. Like I went to a Halloween party where I got pretty sauce, but then it's like, I am great at sobering up and then still having a day the next day, not like, oh, I'm hungover. No, like I will not be hungover. I will do something with tomorrow, or like when I'm out and stuff. Yeah, it just never really, it's not like I'm trying to change it. No, like but it's the same thing with weed, the same thing with alcohol. The only thing I do is kratom. That's it, and that's
good, man.
That's like totally different from alcohol, like, yeah.
You don't get out of control with that.
No.
Weed, you don't normally get out of control. Some people's physiology, they do.
Yeah.
I was never a person that got out of control with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Talk to me before we head out. Tell me about what you've got out now. What's new? What's being made? You just said something that your media is coming out on the 1st.
Well, I'm opening up my LLC.
Awesome.
Tropical City Jazz is going to be part of that whole thing.
Awesome.
That's one of the things that I'm publishing. I'm just gonna move forward as a legit adult rather than a vagabond musician that just kind of travels around playing guitar, doing crazy shit. Which I realize that there's a lot of value in the crazy shit that I do. So I'm actually like putting it out there. TropicalCityJazz.com, and that's I'm streaming all of my music live there. And it's available for free download just as long as you join the mailing list.
Yeah.
I don't blow up the mailing list every day with stuff like, darn, I subscribed to one of them one time, and every day I got something from them, man. It's dude, it's like, I just don't need that, know. And I just don't like being in people's inboxes like that. So if I'm gonna send you a message, it's gonna be something of value.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rather than just noise from day to day. That kind of thing, like a cool show or an album release or some kind of thing.
Well, we are. I'm gonna have you send me links later. You guys can find the links in the description of this episode. They'll be like right down below. Any link that you want to send me, I will put it there. And then any new music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just released a song called "Escape the Ghetto," which is it was on Thanksgiving Day. That was whenever I released that one, and I have a new one. It's called Tears in the Electric Rain. That is coming out on the 19th of this month. It's streaming on all platforms. But then I have it streaming now on my website, so you can listen to it before before the 19th, and also download it and all that stuff like that. And all that stuff is for free. I'm just giving it away.
Awesome, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on, and we really appreciate you coming on the Something Cafe podcast. As you guys know, you can get the Something Cafe podcast on all streaming services: YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, podcast, Amazon, literally Tidal, everything. We're selling merch like this coffee mug, and we got a couple other things there, like some tapestries and some stuff you could put up on your walls. And other than that, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in, and we will see you all next week. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Good shit, man.